Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello, crypto friends. We're going to look at Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, BAT, BTG. Something going on with BTG long still. We'll take a look at that. Very curious to see how that's going to end up playing out. And before we get into it, just want to respond a little bit. As always, I read everybody's messages, and I like that interaction. Gives different perspective and can definitely help me clarify things that I say in previous videos that were maybe misunderstood or I didn't do a good job of specifying. But bottom line is, clearly I've been negative the last 2 days in these videos after the bear break of the cryptocurrency space, and in response to the childish actions that are going on between these schools. And, you know, people are talking about smashing altcoins and intentionally using their mining power to buy as many altcoins as possible and sell them into the market and crush the price. So whether that happens or not, who knows? It's all speculation, but it's just a toxic environment at this point in time, and it's almost not even worth following all of that drama, just being aware that it is going on behind the scenes. There are plans with malicious intent, and whether they follow through or not, we have no idea. But the reason I'm negative in this space is not because of me. Again, like I said, I'm all cash. So people are sending me messages, oh, you must have lost a ton on that bear break. I didn't lose $1, but I get these messages from people, and that's a side that you guys don't understand and don't see, where people are literally having their lives their financial lives destroyed by this move. And yes, you could say, you know, oh, they over leveraged, they made a mistake, that's their own fault. That's an easy way to brush it off and not show any compassion, when in reality, this is someone who is living their lives just like us every single day. They wake up with the sun, and their lives are financially ruined because of this cryptocurrency pullback. So when I get messages with people saying, help, you know, reaching out with their last desperation hope, talking about how the last year they've been trading and they lost all their money, and they took out credit cards and they maxed them out and they lost that money, and they haven't been hanging out with their friends and they haven't talked to their family. It's clear that there's addiction with trading, just like anything else. And these people are addicted to gambling in this market, and it is ruining their lives. So when I see a $1,000 drop in Bitcoin over a 2-day span, I know that it is only kicking a ton of people in the teeth while they're already down, and that causes a negative reaction in me. So that's why I have a negative reaction in this space. I'm going to play Bitcoin if the bulls show up. If the price action, which is the only truth in cryptocurrency right now, is price action, and if that dictates to me that I should be getting in bullish, I absolutely will. I'm going to still keep funds around that I'll be able to act on quickly if anything does change. But that's where we stand right now with my sentiment on the space, and why I've been negative in these videos recently, because of these messages that I'm getting. Number 2, my circle. I talked about how, you know, in my opinion, the herd has heard about Bitcoin, and a lot of people sent messages saying, you know, I'm 30 years old, none of my friends know about Bitcoin, and giving their own experience. So that's great, because obviously I'm living in my own life bubble, and it's limited to the United States. And hearing other people saying that that's not the case is good, because, you know, I know a 70-year-old hippie drummer that has Bitcoin. I know people living off the grid that have Bitcoin. So for me, it's very prevalent that everybody knows about Bitcoin. And so other people to say, you know, nobody knows about Bitcoin, obviously the reality is somewhere in the middle of those two extreme ends of the spectrum. But what I'm talking about when I say the herd has heard about Bitcoin, and what I'm talking about when I say I don't think we're going to see a major influx of people, you have to understand that the premise of the Chart Guys is trying to encourage people to learn, to educate themselves, to achieve financial independence, and to make decisions for themselves. So I can speak to the United States that the vast majority of the population does not understand financial markets, so their decisions are to give their money to financial advisors and saying, here, you know how to do this, I don't, seems like it's really complicated, do this for me. So to think that everybody's just going to rise up and start making financial decisions for themselves, it's not going to happen, in my opinion. That's a psychological flip, a switch that has to flip, and it's not just going to happen on all these people. The vast majority of average Joe and average Jane, when I say that, I'm talking about the vast majority of the average people in the United States who, no matter what, are not going to make any financial decisions for themselves. They're not going to wake up one morning and say, I'm going to put money into Bitcoin, when they haven't been making financial decisions for themselves for the last 2 decades of their lives. Again, they go to work, they get their income, the amount of money that they can, save up, they give to their financial advisors, they put them in the market, they put them in retirement funds. So when I say the herd has already heard about it, I'm talking about the financial world. And the financial world and financial advisors are who controls average Joe and Jane's money. So they've all watched CNBC, who talked about it every single day for weeks. They've all read the articles of every financial online publication talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and they've all heard about it. And then you have the people that they look up to, like Warren Buffett and all these talking heads crashing or smashing on Bitcoin. And again, all of those people have been right so far that Bitcoin has dumped from these levels and a lot of people got burned. So it's not about average Joe and Jane waking up and making their own financial decisions to put Bitcoin in. Again, I don't foresee that happening because of the psychology and the stigma around financial decisions and the lethargic stance that people take on their own financial futures. They entrust it to other people. So it's not everybody making their own decisions. It's a select group of people in the financial world that average Joe and Jane give their capital to. They're the ones that make the decisions. So I just wanted to clarify my viewpoint on that in terms of the herd and, the person with a couple $1,000s putting their money into Bitcoin. Everybody that's watching these videos right now is far more advanced in terms of financial independence and making their own decisions than the vast majority of everybody else in this country. I'm not sure if that's the case in all countries. I don't know the cultures of these other countries with regards to financial management, but I do know that the United States, that's the way that it is. So that's all about what I got right now. Let's get some technical analysis going. So for what we've got right now, still the 4-hour time frame for the most clarity, in my opinion. Bitcoin's forming a daily inside bar right now, and it's still the potential of a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern with the left shoulder, the head, this is the right shoulder, and the bulls need to see this break here over this resistance and see a break over 5,610 and 5,645. Again, this is Coinbase. Break those two resistance levels, and we're going to be looking at exponential resistance right there. If exponential resistance wasn't right there, I might look to play that bull break and look for just a scalp, lock in some profit, and look for the daily lower high to form. Because when we break those 4-hour lower highs, we're going to look for a daily lower high to form. We're going to watch daily exponential resistance. But the question is, can the bulls get over the 4-hour exponential resistance on the first test? Because they're going to have to do so to get any follow through on a bull break of these resistance levels. As far as support goes, 5,470, and then we have to zoom into the hourly time frame to find support after that, 5,413. So 2 support levels to be watching, a couple resistance levels to be watching. Hourly also has 5,572. So it depends on whether you want to zoom out to the 4-hour or zoom in for more details. And in the last 7 hours, we've been trading in a very tight range of 5,522 to 5,572. So a $50 range for the last 7 hours. That's giving us a 4-hour inside bar, and we're patiently waiting for that break. But again, the risk to reward, I don't like the fact that those exponential resistances are there and they have not been tested yet. So we'll see if we are able to break some of these resistances and get follow through. But I'm personally going to be waiting for the daily chart to show more clarity. I've been focused on the daily and weekly chart for months now at this point. And until the daily chart changes the trend back to the bulls, I don't have any interest as a bull in this space. So we could see a bounce up over 5,800, but it's still just going to be looking to set that lower high. So again, just want to clarify, I'm not leaving this space. I'm going to continue making videos. Maybe it's not going to be every day if there's not a whole lot to update, but I'm going to be sitting here ready to act if the price levels give us any kind of signals. I'm just not going to act unless I see that. ETH on the daily time frame, inside bar forming, 4-hour time frame, comparing it to Bitcoin. Similar pattern. The only difference is we have a double bottom down here. So that key support is the most important short-term support level. It's not an inverse head and shoulders pattern because we did not drop to a lower low, but it's still a very clear 4-hour lower high pattern that we're watching. The lower high was here at 181. We talked about in the last video a top fishing play where bears were making an entry and they would exit if 181 broke. We ended up pulling back $8. So a nice multiple percent pullback from that resistance level. And now we're watching support of 173.90, and the next level, again, zoom into the hourly time frame, you can get more levels. 172.40 would be after that, with resistance multiple tops at 178. So 173.90 to 178 is the short-term range to be watching, but it's all about 4-hour lower highs and 4-hour exponential resistance at this point. Ripple, we've got, let's see, double top at 495. Multiple daily inside bars are forming. Technically, you could say we broke that resistance level by a fraction, but I'm calling that a double top, and still the daily inside bar mindset applies here. We broke the 4-hour lower high pattern, so that's a distinct difference between the other two names that we just looked at and the 4-hour higher low just established at 465. That's the must-hold level, and the bulls are trying to make their way back up to the recent high at 495. So 465 to 495 is the range. That's currently about a 6% range, and there's some nice space that we could stay within this range for a bit longer. It's nowhere near as tight as Bitcoin and that current 4-hour inside bar. So slight favor for the bulls on XRP. And again, if we see continuation, we zoom out to the daily and we look for a lower high compared to 535, our last daily lower high to form. BAT/USD, worth watching this as well, just because although we have lost the daily uptrend, we see a bit more follow through. It's a bit more bullish than Bitcoin. And that's because we broke the 4-hour lower high. And here we are seeing continuation. This is the only name that I've looked at in the short term here that is breaking to a higher high on the 4-hour after that healthy consolidation. So support 2268. We just broke resistance of 232. And now we're looking up at the next clear level of 2515. So the BAT/USD bulls in control of the short term, getting that follow through. And we'll see if that's a potential early indication of what other names are going to be looking to do as well, Bitcoin specifically. So BTG/USD. And I'm wondering if there is something going on behind the scenes. You know, I'm not paying too much attention to the drama going on, but there's so many theories out there. There's people that are thinking that, you know, CSW and VER are on the same team here, and this is all a show. I have no idea. It's all speculation, but something's going on with BTG. This is the weekly chart of long margin positions being opened up. This is now going back over 3 months, about 3.5 months of just constant adding to these positions. And again, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. And there's something clearly going on because no matter what pullback we see, we just pulled back 20% in 2 weeks here on BTG, and it didn't result in any long positions closing out. So it's absolutely worth watching this for that fact and seeing, you know, how is this going to play out. But as of right now, it's the same short-term correlation as everybody else. We did get a little bit more follow-through for the bulls, but it's still a dump in response to the Bitcoin dump, and it's still 4-hour exponential resistance just like everybody else. Support is 2640 followed by 2552, and resistance is going to be up at 2731. So again, I'm just, at this point, it's just a curiosity for me to see, you know, what development is going to happen here that makes us say, oh, all right, that makes sense. Now we see why all these longs were loading those positions. So that's where we stand in the cryptocurrency space. Still very tight on the 4-hour time frame. Maybe we'll get a daily inside bar by the end of today that we'll be watching for tomorrow. And we're looking for a daily lower high to be set and for the bears to keep the daily chart in their favor for the foreseeable future. Daily RSI still crushed down at 18 on Bitcoin. But again, RSI levels do not mean as much when you have such a clear break of a tight pattern that's been in play for months and a lack of support. That's when those RSI levels get extreme. So I appreciate you continuing to watch, and I hope you all do good things. Have a good Friday out there, and we'll end it here with a video I made for someone who was going to babysit the goats, and this is how to feed the goats in our routine, daily routine. Had another really good daily routine video, but unfortunately it was deleted with all the chickens and everybody else. But that's it. We'll see you over the weekend. Going to be traveling tomorrow, but I may be able to get a video out, and then I'll see you Sunday.
Alright, so this is how much food I do. I do a scoop. That's about good. And then, watch it please. Watch it please. Then you dump the shit out of their bowl because these leaves are poisonous when they're dead. They can't eat those. And then, stop it. This is really hard. Like a little pour, like maybe a fifth and a fifth, and then 3/5 to Lyra, and then when she eats their food, she knows she's not supposed to. So she's pretty good about going to her spot. Go to your spot.